Socio-economic development is important towards building a sustainable country that can occupy and serve its citizens for a long time. Socio-economic covers the relationship between social affairs and economic activity. Economic activity can affect different classes of people differently, and that will either result in them positively or negatively. Socio-economic development can be improved in various ways, as it is a process of enhancing the quality of life of the people and economy of the country. The process needs to have a comprehensive range that can cover all aspects of human life. In relation to Sustainable Development Goals, specifically Goal 11, which is the sustainable cities and communities, developing the socio-economy of each country will help in realizing this goal. Comparing the socio-economic development in the Islamic economy and the socialist economy, we will compare it through answering these questions. By answering these questions, it will help us to understand the difference between the socio-economic development in the Islamic economic system and the socialist economic system. The first question is how to determine socio-economic development of education in socialist economies and Islamic economies to provide gender equality. The second question is how is wealth distributed under the socialist economy and Islamic economy. The third question is how does the system in socialist and Islamic economies accommodate changes in order to form a decent work that leads to economic growth. The fourth question is in which system people welfare has been proven to be more efficient. The last question is who will get the goods and services that are produced under socialist and Islamic economies.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Iium binti Ali Akbar and my metric number is 2118632. In the context of socio-economics, improvement is the development of people over education, clean environment, abilities development, and improvement in the financial system. Therefore, socio-economic improvement is the system of economic and social transformation primarily on cultural and environmental factors. I will explain the comparison of socio-economic improvement of education in Islamic economy and socialist economy to provide gender equality. Education is a manner of learning and finding knowledge and abilities that is essential with a purpose to survive and develop as humankind. It is also about finding our weaknesses and trying to overcome those weaknesses so that we can be a better person. Also, education is needed where we form and enhance our ethical values. But there are different evaluations and education in Islamic economy and socialist economy.
From Islamic perspective on education, knowledge is important to be explored and applied by human beings in Islam as we are the Khalifah. Islam sees that Muslims are responsible to search for knowledge as mentioned in Hadith. That is why in Islamic countries that put into effect Islamic economic system, education has appeared upon as a serious matter with a purpose to success in the world and hereafter. Education in Islamic international location is not based on commercialization to profit making as in socialism. As the Islamic education advanced, there are a lot of useful Islamic economic devices created, including Islamic financial system which assists many Muslims to make transactions without including riba. In socialism, education for people who cannot examine and write have found out the fundamentals of reading, writing and counting that make access to education has accelerated rapidly. School education has become more important than the connection in clan, relative, race, religion and authority positions. Because of that, an equal society has been considered. Other than that, male and female education may affect economic improvement in another way, since the dynamic effect of the increase in female education differs from male education, especially on labour force, age at marriage, fertility and migration. Based on research, they investigated the separate effects of male and female education as measured by common years of college attainment. In order to obtain sustainable improvement goals, International Education and Development discuss position for women education in the global south as a countless method. If there is no longer a problem of homogeneous and sustainable growth that may lead to poverty and not place women next to the victims of traditional cultural norms, it is expected to solve the problem.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aslam bin Sabaruddin and my metric number is 2019273. So, what is wealth? Wealth is the measurement of assets that are available to someone who owns them and can also be converted to be used in a transaction. Every economic system needs to have a structured and a strategic method of distribution of wealth in order to make sure that justice is kept for the benefit of the society. Wealth distribution plays a huge part in developing a sustainable economy that can boost the well-being of the economy and for the community. The distribution of wealth is also an important element since it can affect the unity of the community, the level of the society's mental health, physical health, and also can be the deciding factor of the extent of poverty in a country. In comparing the wealth distribution in the economic system of Islamic and socialism, based on the theory of ownership, which is also known as al-Milkiyah in Islam, the real ownership of the things that are available on earth is Allah. Islam recognizes the importance of the individual's right to private property and their ownership as it is not absolute and modifiable whenever it is used against the law. When a Muslim owns a property, he must be responsible for it as he is accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the contrary, the acquisition of wealth under the socialist economic system has adopted that all the capital and land that are within their vicinity will be entrusted to the state. This will result in the concentration of wealth to the greatest negative extent, which will later create many issues to the system such as social problems, oppressing the minorities, and health issues. In a socialist economic system, they clearly deny the right to private property as the state plays a big role in controlling the right to property of capital and land. Those who participate in labour are considered as a state property that will earn the right to distribution of wealth in the form of wages. Next, Islamic economic system is adopting zakat for wealth distributions. Whoever is eligible and meets the standard of paying zakat needs to pay a certain amount according to their wealth proportion, as it is an obligation for all Muslims. It will later be distributed to the people who meet the criteria for receiving zakat. The purpose of wealth distributions in the Islamic economic system is mostly to facilitate the non-active party in the wealth production, to ensure no people are being left out in enjoying the wealth together. On the other hand, the socialist economic system has adopted the method where wealth is distributed depending on their contribution to the society, putting aside how much capital they have. The main objective of this method is to improve social equality so everyone can work together for wealth where it can be redistributed to the people who work for it. The wealth gain will later be distributed in many forms that are targeted for social benefit. In relation to the goal number 10 of Sustainable Development Goals, both Islamic and socialist economies can achieve reduced inequalities by reducing the inequality in income and wealth through wealth distribution. A progressive economic system needs to have a structured and systematic modus operandi in distributing wealth as it can be the main factor to socio-economic development of the country, particularly the welfare of the people.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Khadijah Humairah binti Muhammad Maudin, matrix number 2118-276. Let's see how Islamic and socialist economies accommodate changes in order to form a decent world that leads to economic growth. First and foremost, economic change is a movement in the structure of an economic system, either when the country is facing recession or solely an initiative from the government to improve the current economic system. This includes changes in policy, enhancement of technology, and changes in market structure. During the epidemic due to coronavirus, according to the World Bank projection, the world economy is projected to shrink 5.2% in 2020. However, according to Congressional Research Service, the economic downturn in 2020 was not as negative as at first estimated, due partially to the business enterprise and financial policies government adopted in 2020. But still, in the report ready for the end of January 2021, in the World Economic Forum, the International Labour Organization (ILO) estimated that 93% of the world's employees at that point were living under some sort of geographic point restriction. Let's see the different how each economic structure counters changes.
In socialist economy, they conduct changes based on collectivism, in which central planning authority controls production and rational economic planning is prioritizing the good of society over the welfare of individual. From US Senator Bernie Sanders, who helped fuel America's 21st century socialist surge, he said that socialism in workplace must be stressed during crisis. Government must bail out workers, not company managers, adding that any extension of credit or emergency lending to insolvent companies or industry. In the following, this crisis must be accompanied by strict protection and benefit for the workers, unions, and customers, and not exemption attached to executives. He also stressed that there should be a ban on stock buybacks and bonuses for executives, and that this financial aid should ensure that any business in America that receives emergency aid does not fire workers and pay workers a living wage. While in Islamic economy, Sharia is the core of economic mechanism. Sharia established maqasid as goals, and the objective of including maqasid in any socio-economic changes is to link all human economic actions with attainment of Allah in the hereafter, which is the ultimate goal of human being. Thus, there are some explanation of Islamic economic thought in general to differentiate the change in Islamic context. First, the changes must subordinate to the will of Allah. Second, its conception of changes is viewed as cyclical and non-linear. This belief shows that Islam sees history as regularly renewed. Third, whether implicitly or directly in relevant work, the role of writers plays in the conception of change. Therefore, the change in Islamic economy already has a concrete vision and a clear sense of values it wants to convey. Lastly, amendment doesn't possess just worldly connotations. However, is a constituent part in man's whole religious mission and spiritual self-realization. Therefore, the objective of economic science are no longer to facilitate human material happiness in absolute terms, however, to form the sorts of social setting which might be causative to conclusion of Tawheed and
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurina Muhammad Iskandar, metric number 2113232. Both socialist and Islamic economic system promote and strive for the maximum welfare of the societies. It is based welfare means health and happiness. It also can be described as the condition of being successful, especially in terms of good fortune, pleasure, well-being, prosperity, or monetary. In every country, welfare is one of the most important parts of one country. The purpose of welfare is to assist needy families or individuals in their effort to achieve a more secure financial future. Countries' level of welfare efficiency can be seen through GDP, poverty rate, and hunger rate. Between these two economic systems, socialist and Islamic economic system, where both have similar idea regarding welfare. Let's see in which system welfare is more efficiently handled. Based on the study, Venezuela was considered prosperous in the early 1960s as it produced more than 10% of the world petroleum. However, in the 1980s, the country's economy started plummeted, and many economic experts share an opinion where they believe that Venezuela's collapse was caused by socialist policy of ruler Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. According to the Annals of Global Health, 87% of Venezuelans are poor, with 61% of the population living in severe poverty. According to a 2016 research, 75% of people tested has experienced involuntary weight reduction, as it is hard for Venezuelans to access for their basic necessities. Welfare programs that were designed to benefit the poor actually made life even more expensive for them. Corrupt government may undoubtedly produce a lot of new issues, but hyperinflation and civil shortage are rarely among them in the absence of socialism. Overall, what we have learned from Venezuelan 20-year socialist experience is that free things come at high price, and all the propaganda about banning social welfare and working for a great one is only effective if it benefits the government. In contrast, Brunei, in which practicing Islamic economic system, share a common with Venezuela, as Brunei also claims to be one of the richest countries thanks to oil. Brunei Darussalam has long been known as one of 6 Asian members having a generous welfare system. They not only provide excellent welfare for its citizens, but also for its residents. The welfare provided included no taxes, free healthcare, and subsidized food. Brunei does not charge any taxes on its citizens or residents in order to fight for the state social services. This is to make sure every goods and services at affordable price, which is why their poverty rate is as low as 5%. In addition, Bruneians are entitled for free medical care. They are not required to pay for doctor consultation, procedure, or surgery conducted. This is to ensure every single person has access for medicine. Not only that, but Brunei government subsidizes food to make it inexpensive and accessible to all, in which lead to a very small percentage of hunger in Brunei with 2.5%. Overall, based on the research and all the facts mentioned, it is reasonable to conclude that Islamic economic system is superior in terms of handling and delivering tremendous welfare to its people compared to the socialist economy.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohamed bin Muhammad Ridwan. Limited card number is 2012055. In economics, the fundamental dilemma is one of scarcity of resource versus boundless needs. Economics has also demonstrated that a man's requirement cannot be met. The more our basic needs are met, the more desire we create over time. Scarcity indicates a restricted supply of resource by definition. There is always an opportunity cost as a result of shortage. If you utilize your resource to consume a certain product, you won't be able to consume any other goods with same resource. As a result, economists are concerned with determining the best allocation of resource in society in order to make their use efficient and practical. Given this difficulty, let's see how does Islamic and socialist economic system attempt to meet the demands of their people by addressing the three fundamental economic questions, which are what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce.
Based on what to produce in socialist economy, because of the government has complete control, the central planning agency will decide what item should be produced and what service should be offered to the people. While in Islamic economy, it is essential to supply goods and services that people need, and consumer will determine what is produced. Nevertheless, it must be permitted or halal in Islam and meet public interest standards. Furthermore, based on how to produce, in socialist economy, the planning board is in charge of establishing short and long-term production goals for the entire country, as well as economic development. Factory production managers, who are government workers, decide on the mode of production according to the plan. Otherwise, in Islamic economy, the producers are free to maximize their profits in order to achieve falah. Because resources are amanah, they must use carefully and not misuse. Efficiency must be reached. Thus, it is strongly recommended that technologies be implemented with a focus on society and environmental protection. Next, regarding for whom to produce, everybody in socialist economy will be provided the basic needs, thus eliminating unequal distribution of income, as the system is based on the principle to all according to their needs, from all according to their abilities. On the other hand, the Islamic State's responsibility to meet people's basic needs, essential will be provided to each and every member of the community. As a result, the government is permitted to own resources. The Islamic economic system is more realistic and practical since it preserves private ownership, which provide motivation for hard work, efficiency, creativity, and innovation, while also enabling the government access to resources to assist the poor and oppressed. Last but not least, the main distinction between the Islamic economic system and the socialist economic system is that the Islamic economic system is both compassionate and efficient, and it develops a moral economic system that integrates economics and moral value for the benefit of the entire society.
To conclude, comparing the socio-economic development of Islamic economy and socialist economy in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, both are able to achieve the goals theoretically, regardless of the external factors of the system, which includes corruption and deception by the irresponsible parties. By being able to achieve the goals by implementing the Islamic or socialist economic system, it will lead to a sustainable economy that will later contribute to the growth of the country and the people. As mentioned earlier, socio-economic development is important for any economic system to focus on, as it directly affects the social affairs and the economic activity that will be an important element in building a sustainable country for the sake of the people.